We had a bunch of trades. Let's try and break down as many of them as we can on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. As always, make sure to follow and stream us on Spotify. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd. I am Frank Sanford, joined by Scott White. And let's start with Josh Hader, who was traded to the Padres in exchange for Taylor Rogers, Dinelson Lamet, and 2 prospects, Robert Gasser and Esteury Ruiz. Scott, talk to me about Hader's likelihood of getting back on track and who will close games out for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, Hader did have that weird rough patch, mostly before the All-Star break. There was one bad outing in particular where he gave up 6 runs and 3 home runs, but I don't see any reason to be worried. I think it was just a blip. And clearly the Padres do too, since they're going out and getting him. He'll obviously be filling the same role he did for the Brewers, a team with similar playoff prospects. And so his rate of saves shouldn't slow at all. The bigger question is, who closes for the Brewers now? They are getting Taylor Rogers back in the deal, who has been the Padres closer for much of this year, but he was so bad in July that they had just removed him from that role. And so I think if for only that reason, Devin Williams is going to get the shot to close first. I don't know, maybe if the Brewers are planning on it being kind of a platoon situation, the left-handed Rogers, the right-handed Devin Williams, but Devin Williams has long been looked at as a guy with the potential to close. His career K per 9 rate is 14.7. He's got maybe the best changeup in baseball, and he's been basically this guy 3 years in a row now. So he's a bankable choice to close, and top 5 closer potential. I'd like to rank him that high, but since we don't know how it's going to play out, I'm just going to say add Devin Williams and hope for the best.
All right, Devin Williams, 54% rostered on CBS. Could be available in your league. Go check it out. Next up, we have Frankie Montas and Lou Trevino, who were traded to the Yankees in exchange for 4 prospects: Ken Waldichuk, Luis Medina, J.P. Sears, and a second baseman, Cooper Bowman. Lots of moving parts here, Scott. So talk to me about Frankie Montas's new value with the Yankees, who might close games for the Oakland A's, and whether or not any of these prospects can make an impact this season for Oakland.
Okay, sure. So Frankie Montas' value goes up. He was on the worst team in the AL. He goes to the best team in the AL. The only thing really holding back his fantasy value this year is the 4-9 record. If he'd been with the Yankees from the get-go, it might be 9-4, and we might already view him as a top 25 starting pitcher. I think that's who he's going to be going forward. The road ERA with the Athletics this year was over 5. But he is a pitcher who generally puts the ball on the ground more than in the air. So he should be kind of immune to venues to a degree. And when you look at his last 2 full seasons, 2021 and 2019, his home away splits were about even. Actually, he was better on the road in 2019. So I think it's clearly stock up for Montas. For the A's, I kind of thought even before they traded Lou Trevino that Danny Jimenez was going to come off the IL and reclaim that role. I think that's even more likely now. But if you, in a deep league, you want to speculate on somebody else, AJ Puck, the lefty, Zach Jackson, the righty, either of those is an okay choice. And I do think Ken Waldichuk is somebody you could get excited about. 13.7 K per 9 between AA and AAA. Kind of an unorthodox prospect in that, he doesn't earn particularly high marks for his stuff. His fastball's mid-90s, pretty good sweeping action on the slider, but more is just a deceptive delivery from a left-hander that's allowed him to pile up all those strikeouts. Hopefully he gets a chance sooner than later for the Athletics. J.P. Sears probably will too and has good minor league numbers, but I don't think the upside is nearly as high as it could be for Waldichuk.
All right, last 2 deals here I'll mention for you. Trey Mancini traded over to the Houston Astros. It's a great park shift. It's a great lineup shift moving into that Astros lineup. And the Cardinals acquired Jose Quintana, which, again, going from the Pirates to the Cardinals just naturally should have much more fantasy value with them. Quintana's 30% rostered. Trey Mancini is 70% rostered. Scott, do you think those numbers need to be higher for each of them?
Yeah, I mean, not considerably higher for Quintana, but going from the Pirates to Cardinals is only going to improve his win potential. The Mancini move is interesting because he's a guy who pulls the ball in the air a lot, of course, a right-handed hitter. The left field fence at Camden Yards with the adjustments they've made, it's just terrible for a skill set. He has to hit it a long way to get it out over that fence. And Minute Maid Park for the Astros, it couldn't be more on the opposite end of the spectrum. Expected home runs is the StatCast uses based on batted balls. It says that Trey Mancini would have 22 home runs if he had played all his games at Minute Maid Park this year instead of the 10 that he actually has. So, yeah, I would say his stock is up. I do also want to mention real quickly before we go, the Braves are acquiring Jake Odorizzi from the Astros. Hopefully it's just to be a spot starter, maybe a sixth man. Hopefully it doesn't mean Spencer Strider's going back to the bullpen. I think we'd all hate to see that.
Yes, agreed, Scott. We need Spencer Strider to remain as long as possible, and there is some wiggle room there with his innings, so I'm hopeful that Strider will remain in the rotation. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye!